Ladies, how did a guy ruin their chances with you? I met Eric at a little wing place after work on a Friday. I just finished a 10-hour shift at the clinic and was still in my scrubs when I showed up, but he didn't seem to mind. We'd met through mutual friends who swore we'd hit it off. He's funny, smart, just got out of a marriage, but totally ready to date again. That last part turned out to be the key phrase. The first red flag came before our wings even hit the table. The waitress hadn't even taken our drink order yet when he started talking about his ex-wife Shannon. Not in a we grew apart or learned a lot from that relationship kind of way, but like I'd asked for a full debriefing. I nodded politely at first, thinking maybe he just needed to get it out of his system. But no, the entire dinner turned into the Eric and Shannon marriage retrospective. He talked about how she didn't appreciate him, how she'd changed, how she had this annoying habit of leaving wet towels on the bed. He brought up the divorce settlement, her new boyfriend, her family, even her favorite shows. I sat there chewing on a buffalo wing, listening to him compare me to her in roundabout ways. "You seem way more grounded than Shannon," he said at one point, like it was a compliment. At some point, I realized I'd barely spoken. My only lines were variations of "oh" and "wow, that's rough." The waitress refilled my water 3 times, probably out of pity. When the food was done, I figured I'd politely wrap it up and call it a night. But Eric leaned back, wiped his hands on a napkin, and asked if I wanted to go get frozen custard or see a movie. I told him I'd rather see a movie, mostly because I'm lactose intolerant and didn't want to spend the rest of the evening in pain. I added that I wasn't familiar with the area, so I'd follow him in my car. He nodded, totally fine with the plan. We left, said quick goodbyes to the staff, and got into our cars. He pulled out first, and I followed behind. I thought we were heading toward the theater. He turned right where the movie listings on Google Maps said it was left, but I figured maybe there was a shortcut or another route. Then he turned again, and another right, and suddenly we were pulling into a frozen custard shop. He parked and got out of his car like this had been the plan all along. I sat there for a second, watching him stroll toward the counter, waving at someone inside like he was a regular. He didn't even glance back to see if I'd followed. I texted him, "Hey, I thought we were going to the movie." No response. He ordered himself a giant frozen custard sundae, extra toppings, and finally turned to look at me when I walked in. "Oh, hey, you want anything?" he said, already halfway through his first spoonful. I reminded him that I couldn't eat dairy, and that we'd talked about seeing a movie. He shrugged. "Oh yeah, I just figured we could chill here for a bit first." It wasn't just that he'd ignored what I said, it was how comfortable he looked doing it, like my time and preferences didn't even register. I stood there for a moment feeling that weird mix of irritation and disbelief, then said, "I think I'm gonna head home." He looked genuinely surprised. "Really? But we haven't hung out that long." "Yeah," I said, "we actually have." I left him there, still working on his custard, not even trying to stop me. The drive home felt longer than it was. I kept replaying the night in my head, how he never asked me a single real question, how everything circled back to his ex, how he just assumed I'd be fine with whatever he wanted to do. By the time I got home, the only thing I felt was relief that I'd driven separately. He texted later that night, "Had a good time. You seemed a little quiet though, lol." I didn't respond. Sometimes a guy tells you everything you need to know just by ordering dessert.